Welcome to the North Dakota Department of Commerce's first series of podcasts. We're going to bring to you information about what it's like to live, work, and play here in North Dakota. Today we're going to be talking with Luke Grainer about music and arts in North Dakota. Luke is a local musician and artist here in Bismarck. Hey, Luke.
Hi, Sarah. It's fun to be in the office where we meet once in a while to record a podcast in front of a mic on a computer. Kind of weird, but I think it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And I just want to say thanks to the Department of Commerce for being forward-thinking and cool about podcasting and things like this, because this is a very unique opportunity for me. Like Sarah said, I'm a local musician and artist. I also work at Agency Mabu, so I'm using their blog to host this podcast about local music and arts throughout North Dakota. I'm going to speak mostly about my personal experiences around the state and touch on things that are happening that I know of, things that happen over the course of the year, and just some of the opportunities as an artist and a musician. And that's kind of where I'm going to go. We got some links here on the blog. We will post this link on the Department of Commerce website with the podcast, so people can actually quickly get to some of these places without having to remember. And we'll get started here. As an overview, I'm going to touch on mainstream music and art around the state, and I'm going to touch on sort of the local fine arts happening in Fargo, Minot, a little bit in Grand Forks, and in Bismarck, which I know the most about. There are things going on all over the state, but the four bigger cities are the ones we're going to focus on because they have the most events and most diverse kind of art groups. And then something near and dear to my heart, indie music is going to be the final thing we touch on. We're going to talk about some cool venues, some local talent, some festivals that happen, and then how to kind of get involved and find out what's happening.
And I would just like to let all of you out there know that no matter where you move in North Dakota, if you're living in a small community somewhere, you're going to be probably a maximum about 2 hours away from one of these major cities. So no matter where you're living, you might not have these things going on right in your own town or in your backyard, but it's going to be a real quick drive to get there.
Yeah, and one thing I like about North Dakota is that, in a big city you have tons of opportunity to go and do stuff all the time. Which is nice, but you still can only do so much.
Right.
But North Dakota, when you get sort of the bigger events or some of the really unique things happening, it becomes sort of an event for yourself. It's sort of a fun getaway or a night out. It becomes really special, a good memory. You're not sort of trying to choose between a bunch of different things. You're picking like one thing to do and you're going and doing it this week, and it just kind of becomes a destination. It's really kind of a fun thing, and like you said, you can basically drive 100 miles and get pretty much to any of the bigger cities. So It's really nice. So let's kind of kick it off with just talking about the mainstream world of music and arts. Ticketmaster is the place where most people go to look for what's happening as far as mainstream things go. They've really revamped their website. You can check music, sports, arts, and theater. You can go over here to this little change your location and type in your location, and you're going to get all the events that are happening around that town, and it's going to give you a nice radius. It's going to give you mainstream events. It's going to give you a breakdown of smaller music shows and sports, arts, and theater. There's a lot of things happening. The Cirque Dreams is a really cool event that's touring through, and so you can streamline down into the kind of the North Dakota events and get tickets on there. That's the best spot to kind of go for that mainstream scene. The Fargo Dome has a website that has an events calendar for everything that happens at the Fargo Dome. The Fargo Dome is the big sports and entertainment venue in Fargo. Another entertainment venue in Fargo is the Venue. How appropriate.
Yes.
It's a smaller place. Maybe a little bit smaller than a standard civic center, but they host a variety of music acts, touring acts, anything from independent music to relatively large mainstream acts. And they have a website you can check out too that has upcoming events for the first couple of months. Here's the Fargo Dome one. You can see that they have they have music.
That's the venue.
And that's why we don't usually do websites with Flash and a bunch of music, because it messes up podcasts. Anyways, check out the venue. That's a really great place to see music. The Alaris Center is the large sports and entertainment venue in Grand Forks, and the Bismarck Civic Center is the sort of main event center for Bismarck. And all of those are going to have, your mainstream comedians and your touring acts and your off-Broadway plays.
Right, and large bands. I just heard this morning that Bon Jovi's going to Fargo in March.
Yes.
Yep, so just about anything you could ever want to see.
Yes, that will be huge.
Huge.
And the Bismarck Civic Center and Bismarck City Entertainment's venues actually have kind of a nice website that links together. They show the Bismarck Broadway things that are happening.
And that's a series that happens every year, correct?
Right.
It's been here for about the past 10 years, maybe?
I would say, yeah. It's different every year, and it's,
Every year.
just a really pretty strong pool of talent that comes through, and you can see there's quite a few, there's a nice variety, and that's a series that you can take part in. And the Belle Mayhews Auditorium is a really cool local Bismarck theater that has anything from local choir and band performances, symphony performances, ballet. It's even available for local bands to book for things like CD release parties and special shows. And actually one of my favorite local bands, Gypsy Foot, had their CD release party there, and they did a huge acoustic ensemble section, and it was gorgeous. It was really fun.
Wonderful.
One other thing is the North Dakota State Fair gets a pretty strong selection of mainstream acts coming through every year. That's at the end of July, and you can Google the State Fair during the summer and see what's going to happen there. And that brings in people from all over the state. I know this year they had, was it Taylor Swift?
Yep,
perform?
Taylor Swift was there. Maybe Reba McEntire. I think they had a lot of country music this year.
Yeah, they'll get mostly country, and then some of the, kind of modern rock acts will come through as well.
Was Motley Crue there too?
Yeah, like Motley Crue and I don't know, but yeah, it's a pretty big deal for especially for people in the surrounding cities around Minot that don't get as much mainstream concert opportunities. So yeah, that's a good kind of overview of mainstream arts and music in North Dakota.